Your last words should be profound, meaningful, something people remember forever. But some of history's biggest legends? They went out saying the absolute weirdest things imaginable. From jokes about wallpaper to complaints about uncomfortable shoes, these final moments prove that even death can't stop humans from being gloriously strange. Get ready because we're counting down 36 of the weirdest last words ever spoken, and they only get stranger as we go. Number 1. Oscar Wilde. Either that wallpaper goes, or I do. Background. Oscar Wilde, the legendary Irish writer, was dying broke in a cheap Paris hotel room in 1900. The event, even on his deathbed, Wilde couldn't resist roasting the hideous floral wallpaper surrounding him. His wit remained sharp until the very end. The outcome, he died shortly after. The wallpaper survived. Wilde went out doing what he did best, being savagely funny even when facing eternity itself. Punchline. Oscar Wilde roasted people his entire life. Death was just another audience member. Number 2. Steve Jobs. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Background. In 2011, Apple founder Steve Jobs was dying of pancreatic cancer, surrounded by his family at home. The event. Looking past his loved ones as if seeing something beyond, Jobs repeated 3 simple words. Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. The outcome. No one knows what he saw. Heaven? The ultimate interface? A design flaw in the universe? The mystery haunts everyone who hears it. Punchline. Jobs showed us the future his whole life. Maybe he finally saw it at the end. Number 3. James French. How about this for a headline? French fries? Background. James French was a convicted murderer about to be executed in Oklahoma's electric chair in 1966. The event. When a journalist asked for last words, French cracked a dark pun about his surname and the execution method. His final act was a dad joke. The outcome. He was electrocuted moments later. His pun lived forever, repeated in every weird last words list for decades. He got his headline after all. Punchline. French murdered 2 people. His legacy? A pun. That's either genius or deeply disturbing. Number 4. Humphrey Bogart. I should never have switched from scotch to martinis. Background. Hollywood legend. Humphrey Bogart was dying of esophageal cancer in 1957, likely from decades of smoking and drinking. The event. As he lay dying, Bogart didn't reflect on his career, loves, or legacy. He blamed his drink order. That's what bothered him. The outcome. He died the next day. But Bogey kept his cool, humor, and bartender's regret until the very end. Classic Hollywood style forever. Punchline. Even dying, Bogart stayed smooth. Moral. Stick with your signature drink always. Number 5. Roald Dahl. You know, I'm not frightened. It's just that I will miss you all so much. Background. Children's author Roald Dahl was dying of a rare blood disease in 1990, surrounded by his loving family. The event. Dahl wasn't scared of death itself, but he was heartbroken to leave his loved ones behind. Then his last actual word was ow from the injection. The outcome, he died peacefully. His last word, ow, became a strange, slightly absurd footnote. Even in death, he kept things weird, just like his stories. Punchline. Dahl created magical worlds. His final word, a complaint about a needle. Even legends are human. Number 6. Karl Marx. Go on, get out! Last words are for fools who haven't said enough. Background. Philosopher Karl Marx was dying in London in 1883. His housekeeper asked if he had any final words. The event. Marx, grumpy and exhausted, snapped at her. He'd spent his entire life writing. He'd said more than enough already. Leave him alone. The outcome. He died shortly after. The man who inspired worldwide revolutions went out telling someone to shut up and leave him in peace. Punchline. Marx wanted to overthrow capitalism. His last words? Stop asking me questions. Classic marks. Number 7. Thomas Edison. It's very beautiful over there. Background, inventor. Thomas Edison was dying in 1931 at age 84. He'd been in a coma, then suddenly woke up. The event. Edison opened his eyes, looked toward the window and said those words. Then he slipped back into unconsciousness and died peacefully. The outcome. No one knows what Edison saw. Heaven? Another dimension? Just a nice tree? The inventor of light claimed to see something beautiful in darkness. Punchline. Edison illuminated the world. At the end, he saw something even he couldn't invent or explain. Number 8. Bob Marley. Money can't buy life. Background. Reggae legend. Bob Marley was dying of cancer in 1981 at just 36 years old. Too young. Too soon. The event. Marley told his son Ziggy that all his wealth and fame couldn't save him. Life isn't for sale at any price. The outcome. He died hours later. His words became a haunting reminder. Wealth means nothing when your time is up. Live while you can. Punchline. Marley preached love and truth. His last words were the ultimate truth. Time is priceless. Number 9. Frank Sinatra. I'm losing it. Background. Frank Sinatra. Old Blue Eyes. Was 82 and died of a heart attack at home in 1998. The event. His last words were simple and heartbreaking. I'm losing it. Not his voice or fame. Everything. Life itself was slipping away. The outcome. He died minutes later. The man who sang My Way ended with a whisper of helplessness. Even legends face the same end. Punchline. Sinatra did it his way for 82 years. But death does it its way. Number 10. Leonard Cohen. I Am Ready to Die. Background. Poet and musician Leonard Cohen was 82 in 2016. He knew his time was approaching and made peace with it. The event. In final letters to friends and family, Cohen wrote those words. It was acceptance, peace, a goodbye from a spiritual seeker. The outcome. He died shortly after. His words weren't weird, they were profoundly honest. Cohen faced death with grace, just like he faced life. Punchline. Cohen sang about love and loss. His last words acknowledged the song was ending. Beautiful. Number 11. Salvador Dali. Where is my clock? Background. Surrealist master Salvador Dali was dying in Spain in 1989 at 84, the man who painted melting clocks. The event. True to form, Dali's last words were asking about a clock. Fitting for the artist who made time melt in his paintings. The outcome? He died shortly after. The man who bent reality seemed to lose track of time itself. Perfectly surreal. Perfectly Dali punchline. Dali warped time his whole life. At the end, he just wanted to know what time it was. Number 12. Richard Feynman. I'd hate to die twice. It's so boring. Background. Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman was dying of cancer in 1988. He'd had multiple near-death experiences already. The event, Feynman, known for brilliant wit, complained that dying once was interesting. Twice? Boring. Even death couldn't escape his humor. The outcome. He died shortly after. The man who explained quantum mechanics went out complaining about repetition. Classic scientist mentality throughout. Punchline. Feynman explored the universe's mysteries. Death was just another experiment, and he found it dull. Number 13. Voltaire. Now is not the time for making new enemies. Background. French philosopher. Voltaire was dying in 1778. A priest asked him to renounce Satan and make peace with God. The event. Voltaire refused to commit. He didn't want to renounce Satan. What if Satan existed? Better not make enemies at eternity's gates. The outcome. He died shortly after. The priest was horrified. Voltaire died as he lived, trolling everyone, including God and the devil. Punchline: Voltaire questioned authority his whole life. Even dying, he hedged his bets. A smart man keeps options open. Number 14, John Barrymore. Die? I should say not, dear fellow. No Barrymore would allow such a conventional thing. Background: legendary actor. John Barrymore was dying of cirrhosis and pneumonia in 1942 from decades of hard living. The event: his brother asked if he was dying. Barrymore refused such a boring, conventional fate. Death was too ordinary for Barrymore. The outcome: he died anyway. Turns out death doesn't care about your last name or ego. Barrymore's denial became legendary Hollywood lore. Punchline: Barrymore thought he was too fabulous to die. Death disagreed. Death always wins that argument. Number 15, Emily Dickinson. I must go in. The fog is rising. Background: reclusive poet. Emily Dickinson was dying of kidney failure in 1886 at age 55 in her Massachusetts home. The event: her last words were beautifully cryptic. The fog is rising. Was she describing the weather? A metaphor for death? Nobody knows the outcome. She died shortly after. Her words became part of her legend, haunting, ambiguous, perfectly mysterious. She lived and died in mystery. Punchline: Dickinson wrote about death her whole life. Her last words? Still open to interpretation and debate. Number 16, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. The taste of death is upon my lips. Background: musical genius. Mozart was dying mysteriously in 1791 at just 35. Possibly poisoning, possibly illness. Nobody knows for sure. The event: Mozart, paranoid and feverish, believed he'd been poisoned. His last words were dramatic, operatic, fitting for a legendary composer. The outcome: he died hours later. The cause remains debated centuries later. His words fueled conspiracy theories forever. Mozart's death became as legendary as his music. Punchline: Mozart composed symphonies that transcended time. His last words were just as dramatic and unforgettable. Number 17, Nostradamus. Tomorrow, at sunrise, I shall no longer be here. Background: 16th century prophet. Nostradamus was dying in 1566. His secretary asked when they'd see him again soon. The event: Nostradamus made one final prediction: his own death. He said he wouldn't survive the night. For once, absolutely right. The outcome: he died the next morning, exactly as predicted. The man who supposedly foresaw world events nailed his own death perfectly. Punchline: Nostradamus predicted plagues and wars. His final prediction? His own death. At least he was accurate. Number 18, P.T. Barnum. How were the receipts today at Madison Square Garden? Background: Greatest Showman P.T. Barnum died in 1891 at age 80, the circus owner and master of hype. The event: even on his deathbed, Barnum cared about one thing only: ticket sales. He asked about the day's circus receipts. The outcome: he died shortly after learning numbers were good. The man who said no such thing as bad publicity died checking profits. Punchline: Barnum sold spectacle his whole life. His last words? A sales report. The show always goes on. Number 19, Lytton Strachey. If this is dying, then I don't think much of it. Background: British writer Lytton Strachey was dying of stomach cancer in 1932 at age 51. Always the harsh critic. The event: as death approached, Strachey evaluated the experience like reviewing a bad play, unimpressed, underwhelmed, disappointed by death itself. The outcome: he died shortly after giving death a terrible review. The man who critiqued others used his last breath for one final critique. Punchline: Strachey spent his career being unimpressed by everyone. Even death couldn't meet his high standards. Number 20. Albert Einstein spoke in German to a nurse who only understood English. Background: Einstein, the greatest scientific mind ever, was dying in 1955 at 76 in a New Jersey hospital. The event: in his final moments, Einstein spoke several sentences in German. His nurse only spoke English. She understood nothing at all. The outcome: his last words are lost forever to history. The man who unlocked universe secrets took his final thoughts to the grave. Punchline: Einstein explained relativity and the cosmos. His last words, lost in translation. Number 21. Groucho Marx. Die, my dear. Why, that's the last thing I'll do. Background: comedy legend. Groucho Marx was dying in 1977 at age 86. A nurse asked how he was feeling today. The event: Groucho couldn't resist one last joke. He made a pun about dying being the last thing he'd do. Vintage comedy. The outcome: he died 3 days later, but his final zinger lived forever. The man who made millions laugh went out doing his thing. Punchline: Groucho made people laugh his whole life. His last words: one final perfect punchline for history. Number 22. Lou Costello. That was the best ice cream soda I ever tasted. Background: comedy legend Lou. Costello was dying of a heart attack in 1959 at age 52, half of Abbott and Costello. The event: just before his heart stopped, Costello had enjoyed an ice cream soda. His last words praised how delicious it was. The outcome: he died minutes later. The man who made millions laugh went out appreciating a simple dessert. No drama, just ice cream. Punchline: Costello spent his life in comedy. His last review? 5 stars for an ice cream soda. Number 23. Marie Antoinette. Pardon me, sir. I did not do it on purpose. Background: French Queen Marie Antoinette was being executed by guillotine during the French Revolution in 1793 before screaming mobs. The event: climbing the scaffold. Marie accidentally stepped on the executioner's foot. Ever the aristocrat, she apologized politely. Her last words were, "Excuse me." The outcome: seconds later, the blade fell. The queen, who supposedly said, "Let them eat cake," went out with grace and perfect manners. Punchline: Marie Antoinette lost her head, but not her manners. Even at the guillotine, she said, "Excuse me." Number 24. Ludwig van Beethoven. I Shall Hear in Heaven. Background: musical genius. Beethoven went deaf later in life. In 1827, he was dying at 56, unable to hear his own compositions. The event: Beethoven, who'd lost what he loved most, sound, spoke with hope. In heaven, he'd finally hear again. Music would be real. The outcome: he died shortly after. The man who composed symphonies in silence believed death would return his hearing. Heartbreaking and beautiful. Punchline: Beethoven created beauty he couldn't hear. His last words: hope that death would give back what life took. Number 25. Bing Crosby. That was a great game of golf. Fellas. Background: legendary crooner Bing Crosby had just finished playing 18 holes of golf in Spain with friends in 1977. The event: after the game, Crosby told his buddies it was a great round. Then, 20 yards from the clubhouse, he collapsed dead. The outcome: he died instantly from a massive heart attack. The man who sang White Christmas went out talking about his golf game. Punchline: Crosby sang his whole life. His last words: a golf review. The man had very clear priorities. Number 26. Dutch Schultz. Incoherent rambling about French-Canadian bean soup. Background: gangster Dutch Schultz was shot by rival mobsters in 1935. Police stenographers recorded his delirious dying words for hours. The event: Schultz rambled feverishly about bean soup, dogs, and pure nonsense. A boy has never wept, the chimney sweeps. complete gibberish. The outcome: he died from his wounds. His rambling words became legendary, analyzed and turned into poetry. The mobster became a surrealist poet accidentally. Punchline: Schultz killed for a living. His last words: poetic nonsense about bean soup. Dying makes strange writers. Number 27, Aleister Crowley. I am perplexed. Sometimes I hate myself. Background: occultist Aleister Crowley, self-proclaimed wickedest man in the world, was dying alone in a British boarding house in 1947. The event: Crowley, who pretended to have all answers, admitted confusion and self-loathing at the end. Vulnerable and honest finally. The outcome: he died shortly after. His followers expected mystical wisdom. Instead, they got honesty and doubt. The great magician's final spell was true. Punchline: Crowley claimed to know universe secrets. His last words: I'm confused. Even wizards don't have it figured out. Number 28, Dylan Thomas. I've had 18 straight whiskeys. I think that's the record. Background: Welsh poet Dylan Thomas was drinking himself to death in New York in 1953 at just 39 years old. The event: after a legendary bender, Thomas bragged about drinking 18 straight whiskeys. Probably closer to 8, but he was proud regardless. The outcome: he collapsed and died days later from alcohol poisoning and pneumonia. The man who wrote about raging against death bragged about drinking. Punchline: Thomas told us to rage against the dying light. He raged into a whiskey bottle instead. Number 29, Sir Isaac Newton. I was only like a boy playing on the seashore, whilst the great ocean of truth lay undiscovered. Background: Sir Isaac Newton revolutionized physics and mathematics. In 1727, at 84, he reflected on his monumental life's work. The event: Newton, one of history's greatest minds, felt like he'd barely scratched the surface. Despite discovering gravity, he felt like a child. The outcome: he died shortly after. His humility became legendary. The man who explained how the universe worked still felt he knew nothing. Punchline: Newton discovered gravity and invented calculus. His last words: I know nothing. Even geniuses die as students. Number 30, Douglas Fairbanks. Senior. I've never felt better. Background: silent film star. Douglas Fairbanks Sr. was suffering from a heart condition in 1939 at age 56, but stayed positive. The event: despite feeling unwell, Fairbanks told everyone he'd never felt better. Classic optimism, classic denial, classic famous last words coming. The outcome: he died of a heart attack that same night. His words became famous for tragic irony. He felt great, then he didn't. Punchline: Fairbanks was an action hero. His last words: famous last words in the most literal sense possible. Number 31, Pancho Villa. Don't let it end like this. Tell them I said something. Background: Mexican revolutionary Pancho Villa was assassinated in an ambush in 1923, riddled with countless bullets from enemies. The event: as he lay dying, Villa realized he had no profound last words prepared, so he told his men to make something up. The outcome: he died minutes later. His last request? Have someone else write his last words. The revolutionary wanted to control his legacy. Punchline: Villa fought for revolution. His last words? Make me sound good. Even heroes worry about PR. Number 32, Henrik Ibsen. On the contrary. Background: Norwegian playwright Henrik Ibsen was dying after strokes in 1906, having written groundbreaking plays like A Doll's House. The event: his nurse told visitors he was feeling better. Ibsen, barely conscious, heard this lie. With his last strength, he muttered disagreement. The outcome: his final act was correcting someone who was wrong. The man who challenged social norms went out disagreeing with a nurse. Punchline: Ibsen challenged conventions his whole career. His last words? "You're wrong," the man argued until his last breath. Number 33. General John Sedgwick. They couldn't hit an elephant at this distance. Background: Union General. John Sedgwick was inspecting troops during the Civil War's Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse in 1864. The event: his men took cover from Confederate sharpshooters. Sedgwick mocked them, saying snipers couldn't hit an elephant. Then he was shot instantly. The outcome: he died instantly from a headshot. His last words became the most famous case of tragic irony in military history worldwide. Punchline: Sedgwick thought he was invincible. A sniper proved otherwise. Moral: don't tempt fate. Fate has excellent aim. Number 34. H.G. Wells. Go away. I'm all right. Background: science fiction writer H.G. Wells was dying peacefully at home in 1946 at age 79. Author of countless classics. The event: family members hovered over him, worried sick. Wells, always independent, told them to leave him alone. He was totally fine. The outcome: he died shortly after. The man who imagined time travel and alien invasions wanted privacy in his final moments. No drama. Punchline: Wells imagined incredible futures. His last words? Leave me alone. Even visionaries want peace and quiet. Number 35. Bessie Smith. I'm going in the name of the Lord. Background: blues legend. Bessie Smith was in a terrible car accident in Mississippi in 1937 during the Jim Crow era. The event: badly injured. Smith was refused treatment at a whites-only hospital. By the time she reached a black hospital, too late. The outcome: she died from injuries. Her death highlighted brutal Jim Crow racism. Her words became a symbol of dignity facing injustice. Punchline: Smith sang the blues her whole life. Her last words? A hymn of faith. Even legends face tragedy. Number 36. Archimedes. Do not disturb my circles. Background: ancient Greek mathematician. Archimedes was working on a mathematical problem during Rome's siege of Syracuse in 212 BC. The event: a Roman soldier approached. Archimedes, absorbed in work, told the soldier not to disturb his sand diagrams. The soldier stabbed him. The outcome: Archimedes died protecting his equations. His last words became legendary: dedication to knowledge over survival. Math mattered more than life. Punchline: Archimedes discovered pi and invented war machines. His last words? Don't mess up my math. He died for geometry. And there you have it, 36 of the weirdest last words ever spoken by history's legends. From Oscar Wilde roasting wallpaper to Archimedes dying for geometry, these final moments prove that humanity is unpredictable, funny, tragic, and utterly bizarre until the very end. Some went out with jokes, others with poetry, and a few with complete confusion. Which last words shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Did we miss someone with an even weirder goodbye? Drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear your favorites. Remember, your last words might be remembered forever. Choose them wisely, or don't. Apparently complaining about wallpaper works just fine. Thanks for reading. Live well, speak wisely, and when your time comes, make it memorable.